Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Play to win the game. Gone.
Tom Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Sound going crazy.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hoe.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Awesome podcast today. Very special guest. When all my Met fan friends heard Kevin Burkhardt was coming on the podcast, they all went absolutely nuts. Kevin, of course, is the field reporter during New York Mets games on SNY, and now he's one of the play-by-play voices for the NFL on Fox. He's living his dream right now, and his biggest dream is about to come true because he's getting the chance to come on the Terrific Talk podcast. Kevin, really, it's great to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you had a really interesting career path. I figured we could start the beginning. When did you know you wanted to work in sports broadcasting? And is it true that you used to announce your Nintendo games as a kid growing up?
Yeah, of course it's true. I guess I knew probably, at some point then, when I was early teen years, because I just love sports and I wasn't very good at them. So I was good at playing video games, though, and announcing them. So that's kind of how it kind of came together. That kind of goofing around led to a real serious interest in pursuing the field as I got to high school and then obviously pursued it into college. So it really started at a young age. I grew up in a sports family. We watched everything and, had our favorite announcers and things like that. And it was always a passion from a young age. So it's been pretty much a lifelong thing for me.
Who were some of your favorite announcers growing up?
Well, we were a big football family, so we had every Sunday. Watching Pat and John call a football game was pretty incredible. That gave you the feel of a big time game every Sunday. Come home from church and go to the deli and get the rolls ready and have the sandwiches, the football on. It was beautiful. And then, really in the backyard in the summer we had the radio on, listening to Bob Murphy and then later Gary Cohen. So with the Mets game, so really those would probably be my tops of the list in terms of just good childhood memories and watching those games.
So you mentioned going to studying broadcasting in college. What was your first job when you got out of college?
I was interning at a 1,000-watt radio station in New Jersey, and I ended up working there. They hired me as kind of a jack of all trades, do a little bit of news, a little bit of sports, a little bit of production, a little bit of promotions, marketing, whatever it is that they needed, essentially. And that was my first job, and it turned out that I was actually there for 8 years. So,
wow.
I cut my teeth at a 1,000-watt radio station, but it was tremendous experience because I got to do a lot of things and then fail and see what I would do better and really practice, essentially, for 8 years at getting better. So it was a beautiful place to start for me.
8 years is a really long time. What was that period of your life like? Did you ever, did you think, obviously you had big aspirations, big dreams. Did you ever doubt yourself at any point or think, man, I don't know if this dream's going to come true?
Yeah, like every day. Yeah, all the time. I had confidence in my own ability, but you need more than your own ability to make it here. You need people to give you a chance and people to open some doors for you. You could create openings for sure, but you also need people to kind of help you out in that way. So, of course, I always just was wondering if I was doing the right thing, if it would ever work, and if I would ever get that shot. I think everyone does, but in the same fashion, it kind of drove me to get to that point where I would at least get the opportunity to see if I could do it. You pursue something for a long enough time, you want to see at least if you could hack it, if you could handle it, and if you're good at it. And so I finally got a couple of opportunities. Is really what it comes down to. You could be as good as anybody else, but if no one opens the door for you and gives you a look, it doesn't matter. And that's what's so frustrating about this business. You have to be persistent, you have to be good, and you have to be a little lucky, let's face facts.
Now, I read that you actually at one point became a car salesman. What was that like?
Well, I mean, it was just one of those things where I was getting fed up and bummed of not getting any opportunities, and I'm sick of making no money. So I just decided to kind of pick a random thing out of the newspaper and do it, and so I did. So, I did it for a year. It was motivating because it made me realize that I wanted to get back into radio and TV, and it also taught me some pretty good things about myself, about being resilient, and about kind of adapting and doing anything. I mean, I think I actually did that job pretty well. So,
nice.
I think I learned a lot about myself in that time. I mean, I don't think I knew it at the moment, but looking back, I would say it was a really invaluable experience for me.
So when you got to SNY and began working with the Mets, you mentioned growing up that one of your favorites was Gary Cohen, who, of course, is the Mets play-by-play announcer on TV. What was it like getting to work with him?
It was great. I mean, he's the best there is. So, and then to boot, listen to him on the radio in the backyard, get a chance to be with him on the broadcast was phenomenal. And he is so supportive. He's such a team player. Those are the types of things that people don't see behind the scenes, and how good he is to work with, and how he's just, he wants everything to be great. He wants the broadcast to be great. He wants everything involved in it to be great. So it motivates you. You want to be as good as he is. You want to be as prepared as he is. You want to bring your A game as much as he does. So I mean, for me, it's been motivating working with him because I feel like in some ways I can't disappoint him. I got to hold up the standard to him. So it's been great.
Really cool. I really appreciate when you're doing your thing, you're reporting with the Mets, how a lot of times you go out in the stands and you're in different parts of the ballpark. It's always kind of a different view and a different look. What do you think is the best advice for someone who would like to work as a field reporter and for the Mets?
I think you have to be open to do a lot of different things. So, I think that's the number one thing. You have to be skilled and open-minded enough to try different things in the business and have a versatility. And I think if you don't have a versatility, you can't do that role because that really is the name of the game there. I mean, it's live television. You may have the thing you're going to do really prepared, but what isn't prepared is, the guy about to hit a double while you're starting to talk. So,
right.
There are things you can do to prepare, and there are things you're not. And I think you have to be prepared. I think you have to be versatile, and I think you have to be informed. There's no substitute for really being prepared and doing your homework and knowing everything there is to know. There is none. So I think it's a combination of everything. It's an interesting role, and I would say if you're doing it for the last 7 years, I mean, I knew this beforehand, but certainly after doing it, it made my appreciation grow.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than people think. People look at it as a role that's a kind of a throwaway role. It's actually an important role on a broadcast that, if it's done well, really enhances the broadcast. So, I think it's challenging because it's very easy to look silly in that role if you don't know what you're doing.
Different question. What's your favorite sports book?
My favorite sports book? That's a really great question. I read a lot of other different kinds of books on sports, but I haven't read a sports book in a while. I would say, I'm trying to stop me on that. My favorite one of all time. I'll have to skip that question and come back. I don't even know if I have a favorite one. That's a good question.
We'll come back. So now you're doing play-by-play for Fox on Sundays. You're living your dream. It's something you've always wanted to do. It must be incredible. Could you kind of take us through a typical work week for you covering the NFL, kind of the day-to-day process? Like, I know you're doing the Saints-Jets game coming up. What's kind of the process, the lead-up going into it, and then what's your routine on game day?
Well, I mean, it's a ton of work. I mean, you have to, everyone has their own little routine to get prepared. But, I mean, I have mine. I have, on certain days, I do certain things. And if I do that, then I'm ready for the game on Sunday. It ranges from, Monday reading all the clips and watching all the highlights and of things that happen on Sunday. Tuesday, I'll start to go through and really comb through the teams that I'm doing and start looking at stats and jotting down a bunch of notes. I keep a notepad every week, and I just take notes in it. And, I'll kind of start that. And then Wednesday, I kind of start working on my charts where I put together all the information and both teams and really laying down all the stuff in the charts that I want, stats, stories, start studying the names and numbers, that type of thing. Thursday, I'll watch film, watching the last few games that each team has played and continuing to read and enhancing all the stuff that I've already done during the week. And then, Friday we go into the city and meet with the home team. We go to the practice. We meet with head coach, quarterback, and usually 3 other people.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday we do the visiting team meeting, so they come in and we sit down with their head coach and quarterback and take all these notes. And then usually later in the day, Saturday, I kind of get together all those notes, write down and highlight some of the stories that I like, and then I might want to use during the game. And then it's really, preparing for last-minute preparations. I might watch a little bit more film. I might go over and really just try to get some extra good nuggets for the game, kind of recapping and reviewing the other games that are going on Sunday, and then continuing to memorize. And then really Sunday is just the game. I don't like to do too much on Sunday other than call the game because I like to kind of keep my head clear. So Sunday, wake up, read the papers, that type of thing. But really it's just the game for me on Sunday.
How's it been working with John Lynch?
It's been fantastic. The guy is, he's as good as a player as there's been at that position, and he is as good as a broadcaster that's been in that position. He's a great team. It's easy to see why he was such a good teammate in Tampa, why he was a leader, because he's a great teammate here. He wants everybody to do well. He is, he gets you going, man. He'll give a hard little fist bump or chest bump for the game goes to get us all fired up.
Back to baseball, I was just wondering, you've been to all the stadiums. What would be your top 3 baseball stadiums, in your opinion?
Probably AT&T in San Fran, Petco, Wrigley, something like that. I mean, there's a bunch of other ones that I like, but if I'm choosing other than Citi Field, since I work there every day, I'd probably go those 3, maybe a couple of others mixed in.
What do you think of Citi Field?
I think it's great. I think they did a real nice job with it. I mean, I think it's a great place to watch a game. I think it would be fun to see it filled up and have some playoff games played in it,
Definitely. Can't wait. Back to the question. Let's see if you got an answer. Favorite sports book?
I have to say, one guy that I really enjoyed reading about is Sandy Koufax. And I think I have a few of those in my house, and shame on me for not having the exact title of my favorite, but probably him. I would have loved to cover the sport when he pitched, just knowing what a tough guy he was and all he pitched through and what he would have been able to do if he didn't have all the injuries and the pain that today they could probably treat.
Right.
And I also would have loved to see him play basketball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he'd probably be my favorite subject if I had to pick one.
Cool. Now, you've gotten to talk to a lot of interesting people over the years. Who do you think you've been the most starstruck from, who you were like, I can't believe I'm interviewing this person?
I think just in general, just getting a chance to do what I do and meet these people and meet these athletes, and I think it's been pretty cool. I think an example that I'll give you for you grew up a Mets fan, you obviously don't like the Braves very much. A guy like Chipper Jones, and then when I start covering the teams and start traveling, he's one of the most fascinating guys to cover ever. So, I think those types of things are what I've enjoyed about the whole process.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on, giving some of your time today. I really appreciate it. Everybody make sure to catch Kevin on Fox this Sunday. He'll be covering the Saints and the Jets. Definitely be tuned in for that. And also check Kevin out on Twitter. His handle's @Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this weekend. Thank you.
Take care, man. Thank you.